When something unexpected happens with your money, it can feel like the ground shifts beneath your feet, especially later in life when stability isn't just a preference but almost a lifeline. A bank error or a sudden refusal can bring up feelings of vulnerability we thought we'd left behind long ago. It's not only about the dollars, is it? It's about the trust you place in institutions, the quiet expectation that your savings, the fruit of decades of work, will be treated with respect and care. And when that trust is shaken, it's natural to feel unsettled. You might even catch yourself wondering, am I still strong enough to deal with this? That question is more common than you might think. The truth is, as we get older, the meaning of security changes. In your 30s or 40s, you might have taken a banking mishap as just another hassle to get through before moving on with your day. But in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, there's a deeper weight to it. It's not because you've lost resilience, quite the opposite. It's because your years have taught you how precious peace of mind really is. That wisdom makes disturbances feel sharper, and yet that same wisdom holds the key to overcome them. Think about this. Every wrinkle on your face tells a story of something endured, learned, overcome. Why would a misunderstanding with a bank be any different? You carry within you not only memories, but also strategies, patience, and the ability to pause before reacting. That pause is a kind of strength younger people often overlook. So when the bank says no or makes a mistake that seems impossible to fix, maybe it's not a sign of your weakness. It might actually be a reminder of your strength. Have you noticed how, in these moments, your mind wants to rush ahead, predicting the worst, imagining loss and unfairness? That's the younger part of you speaking, the part that still believes every problem must be solved in an instant. But aging, in its own quiet way, teaches us something else. That solutions often come with patience, steady steps, and the refusal to be pushed into fear. What if the real gift of this stage of life is the calm persistence that can outlast even the most stubborn system? Maybe the question isn't, can I still handle this, but rather, how do I want to carry myself as I handle it? Let yourself sit with that thought. It's not about fighting harder, but about leaning into the dignity you've cultivated over years. You may find that the very thing you feared, being dismissed or underestimated, turns into the place where your quiet determination shines brightest. And isn't that a beautiful kind of justice? By the way, where are you reading this from right now? I'd love to know. Share your location in the comments, because each place holds its own story of resilience, and yours might inspire someone else. There's something important I want you to remember. Knowing your rights is not an act of aggression. It's an act of self-respect. Too often, people your age are told, sometimes directly, sometimes in subtle ways, that standing up for themselves means being difficult or demanding. But that's not the truth. The truth is, your years of experience have earned you the right to ask questions, to seek clarity, and to insist on fairness without apology. It's not confrontation, it's dignity. Let me tell you about Maria. She's 72, lives in Florida, and thought of herself as someone who didn't like to cause trouble. One day, she noticed that her bank had put a hold on $12,000 after a transfer, and she was told it could take months to sort out. At first, she froze. She felt her heart race, her palms sweat, and that old familiar thought came, maybe I should just let it go. But then she remembered what her late husband always told her, paper protects. She gathered her statements, carefully noted the dates and times of her calls, and when she spoke with the bank again, she asked for a supervisor with calm confidence. Within weeks, the money was returned, and she even received an apology letter. What's beautiful about Maria's story is not only that she got her money back, but that she rediscovered her own voice in the process. And you can do the same. Start with small steps. Keep copies of your statements, even if everything is online now. It's not about mistrust, it's about preparedness. When you speak to someone on the phone, jot down their name and the time. Write a short letter or email after a call, simply summarizing what was discussed. These are not acts of suspicion. They are gentle ways of affirming that your voice matters and your time is valuable. And when you ask for a supervisor, do it without apology. You're not being rude, you're simply seeking the person with the authority to help you. Isn't it interesting how, as we grow older, we begin to understand that strength isn't always loud? Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and persistent. You don't need to argue or raise your voice. In fact, the calmer and more respectful you remain, the stronger you appear. That calmness is one of the greatest gifts of aging, the ability to let urgency go and replace it with patience that still demands resolution. Have you noticed that when you stand your ground politely, people begin to treat you differently? They lean in, they listen, they realize they can't dismiss you so easily. That's because self-respect is contagious. It silently asks others to mirror it back to you. So the next time you're told no or made to feel powerless, pause and remember Maria. Let her story remind you that you too have every right to expect fairness and to receive it. And when you practice these steps, you might just find that you feel lighter, not heavier after the interaction, because you've honored your own dignity in the process. If this kind of gentle guidance and these real-life stories feel helpful to you, make sure you subscribe. That way, you'll never miss the insights and reminders that may one day save you not only time and money, but also your peace of mind. Have you ever noticed how certain situations feel heavier now than they once did? A phone call from the bank, a letter you didn't expect, or a conversation about your savings. These things can stir up a kind of tension in your chest that seems harder to shake off. That's not because you're weaker. It's because your body responds differently with time, and stress leaves a deeper imprint than it did years ago. Science quietly confirms what you may have already sensed. As we age, the stress hormone cortisol doesn't settle back down as quickly as it used to. When you were younger, a difficult call or unexpected expense might have spiked your nerves for an hour, then faded. Now, that same spike can linger, sometimes for days, leaving you more tired, less focused, and even affecting your sleep. It isn't your imagination, it's simply how your physiology evolves. And knowing this truth is powerful because it helps you approach challenges with more compassion for yourself. So what can you do when a financial problem threatens to overwhelm you? The first step is to remember that urgency is rarely real. Banks, like most institutions, often speak in terms that make you feel rushed. Immediate response, deadline, final notice. But if you pause, breathe slowly, and remind yourself that almost every issue can wait for a calmer moment, you begin to take back control. Imagine telling yourself, "I'll deal with this after a cup of tea," or "I'll make that call tomorrow morning when I feel rested." That simple delay is not avoidance, it's wisdom. Practical adjustments can help more than you might think. When you're on the phone with a representative, keep a glass of water nearby. Take slow sips while they speak. Hydration helps regulate stress responses. If you feel your heartbeat quicken, press your feet gently against the floor and notice their steadiness. This grounds you. And if the conversation starts to feel overwhelming, it's completely acceptable to say, "I need a moment, let's pause." Respectful pauses often lead to more thoughtful outcomes. Ask yourself gently, do you sometimes push yourself to resolve everything in one sitting? Do you notice your body tensing even after the call has ended? Awareness is the first layer of change. By noticing your patterns, you begin to shift them. And slowly, what once felt like a storm becomes something more like a passing cloud. I once spoke with a man named Robert, 76, who told me how every time he had to speak with his bank, his chest tightened. He assumed it meant he was becoming fragile. But when he learned about the way cortisol lingers in older bodies, he realized he wasn't fragile. He was simply human. He began taking breaks during calls, even walking briefly outside before resuming a conversation. It changed everything, he said. The bank didn't change, but I did. And that's the point. The world may remain hurried, but you don't have to match its pace. In fact, slowing down often earns you more respect, because calm voices carry farther than hurried ones. Aging, in this way, becomes an ally. It invites you to approach life not with urgency, but with depth. So the next time stress rises in your chest over money or mistakes or misplaced trust, remember that your body is asking for gentleness, not force. Give it that gift, and you'll find that even the hardest conversations can become less of a battle and more of a steady path forward. When you're faced with a problem that feels too big, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the whole picture. A missing sum of money, a confusing letter, or a rejection from the bank can seem like a mountain that's too steep to climb. But if you've learned anything in life, it's that even the tallest mountains are climbed step by step, not in one giant leap. This is where patience and structure become your allies. The first thing to do is write down exactly what happened. Not in complicated terms, just in your own words, as if you were telling a trusted friend. By placing your thoughts on paper, you begin to transform the chaos into clarity. That written account becomes your anchor. You can return to it whenever your mind tries to spin in circles. The next step is to gather documents that support your story. Bank statements, letters, emails, even notes you jotted down during calls. All of these form a quiet but powerful shield around you. You don't need to present them all at once, but knowing you have them brings a sense of calm. After that, make the first call. Approach it like opening a door, not like storming a castle. Begin politely, explain the issue, and ask for clarification. Sometimes that alone resolves the matter. But if it doesn't, follow up. Write a short letter or email summarizing your conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to show that you're attentive and consistent. And if days pass without a solution, ask for a supervisor. This isn't being pushy, it's simply moving to the person who has the ability to make changes. Escalation, when done with respect, is not a fight, it's a steady climb. What's remarkable is that each small step builds not only progress, but also a quiet confidence inside you. You may find yourself thinking, I can do this. I don't need to solve it all at once. Isn't that a relief? Life at this stage teaches us that rushing rarely brings peace, but steady persistence almost always brings results. Think of how water shapes stone over time, not with force, but with consistency. You too can become like that water, gentle yet unstoppable. Ask yourself gently, do you sometimes expect yourself to resolve everything in one day? Do you feel guilty when the solution takes longer than you hoped? Perhaps it's time to release that pressure. Maybe the lesson here isn't about speed, but about trust. Trust in your own ability to move forward step by step. And isn't that what aging has always been about? Learning to trade urgency for depth, impatience for steadiness, and fear for quiet strength. There is a kind of strength that doesn't shout, doesn't push, and doesn't need to prove itself. It's the strength that comes from living through so many seasons of life that you no longer doubt your own resilience. When a bank returns what it first refused, or when an institution finally acknowledges your rights, it isn't just money that comes back to you. It's a reminder of your quiet confidence. And confidence at this stage of life has a very different flavor than it did decades ago. In youth, confidence can look like boldness, insisting on being seen and heard. With age, it becomes something softer yet more enduring, a steady assurance that you know who you are and you no longer need to wrestle for recognition. Have you noticed how people sometimes underestimate older adults, assuming that age makes you passive or powerless? Perhaps you've felt that sting yourself. But what they don't realize is that your years have given you a kind of authority they cannot imagine. You don't need to shout to be heard. You carry the weight of experience in your tone, your patience, and your persistence. That's what often shifts the balance when facing banks, officials, or any institution. The money you protect matters, yes. It provides comfort, security, and the ability to live with peace. But perhaps the deeper treasure lies in rediscovering that your voice still matters, that you can stand up for yourself with dignity, and that no number of years takes that away from you. What if, instead of seeing financial conflicts as burdens, you began to see them as reminders of your enduring strength?
Each time you face one with calm, each time you follow through instead of giving up, you reinforce the truth that aging is not about decline. It's about refining the qualities that last: wisdom, patience, steadiness. Ask yourself gently, when was the last time you surprised yourself with your own strength? Did you notice how good it felt to realize, I handled that, I didn't give in? Sometimes the greatest reward isn't the resolution itself, but the renewed trust in your own ability to carry yourself with grace. And that trust doesn't fade with age, it deepens. So the next time you feel the urge to doubt, remember this: institutions may hold money, but you hold something far greater: the quiet confidence born of a lifetime. That cannot be taken from you, only strengthened. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to stand up for your financial rights? And what did you discover about yourself in the process? Share your story in the comments. It may be the very encouragement someone else needs today. And if these words have resonated with you, consider subscribing, so you'll always have a reminder of the quiet strength and wisdom you already carry within you.